Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 9 maths. So you can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password is provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 9 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of chapters. We're going to start with the chapter radical expressions. And the lessons we're going to cover today are simplify radical expressions involving fractions, add and subtract radical expressions, multiply radical expressions, and then simplify radical expressions into distributive property. So let's just start with the first lesson, that is simplify radical expressions involving fractions. So here I'm on grade 9 maths. The chapter we're working on is radical expressions, and the lesson we're going to start with is simplify radical expressions involving fractions. So let's just start with the lesson. Okay, the first one is square root 4 over 9. So that means the radical is on both the numerator and the denominator. You can write them as square root 4 and square root 9. That would be exactly same. Got it? Factor out 4. It would be 2 times 2, and same thing you have to do the with denominator. Got it? It would be 2 square and it would be 3 square. So 2 and square root cancel out each other. So you are left with 2 over 3. Got it? Let's just start with the test questions. So basically the radical sign on the fraction means the radical is both for the numerator and the denominator. Let's just start with the first one, 10 square root 9. It would be 10 over 9. So you can write them as square root 10 divided by square root 9. So you can write, you cannot factor out square root 10, so you can factor out square root 9. You can write it as 3 times 3. Got it? So it would be 3 square. 2 and square root cancel out and you're left with square root 10 divided by 3. Got it? The correct option is square root 10 divided by 3. That would be the second option. Option 2 is the correct one. It would be square root 10 divided by 3. Okay, the next one is square root 25 divided by 4. So we can write them as square root 25 divided by 4. Now let's just factor out them both in numerator and denominator. It would be 5 times 5, and you can write down 4 as 2 times 2. So it would be 5 square and it would be 2 square. 2 and square root cancel out, 2 and square root cancel out, so you are left with 5 divided by 2. So the correct option is 5 divided by 2. Got it? The second option is the correct one. Okay, the next one is square root 9 divided by 25. So which is the correct option? You can write it as square root 9 divided by square root 25. 9 is the square root 9 equals 3, and 25 is the square root of 5. So it would be 3 over 5. The correct option is 3 over 5. Got it? Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, simplify square root 10 divided by 9. So which is the correct option? You cannot factor out 10 and 9 is the square root of 3. So it would be square root 10 divided by 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, the next one is square root 9 divided by 4. So which is the correct option? It would be 3 over 2. Got it? But you don't have the correct option. It would be 3 over 2. Got it? You don't have the correct option. Let's just move on to next question. Okay, the next one is square root 4 over 9. So which is the correct option? Yes, that would be 2 over 3. The correct option is 2 over 3. So it would be option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, the next one is simplify square root 25 divided by 9. So which is the correct option? 25 is the square root of 5 and 9 is the square root of 3. So it would be 5 over 3. The correct option is second one. 5 over 3 is the correct option. Okay, the next one is square root 4 over 25. It would be 2 over 5. The correct option is 2 over 5. Got it? Okay, we are done with the lesson. Let's just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next one is add and subtract radical expressions. So how do we add? Let's just start with the first example. It is 5 square root 5 and 4 square root, subtract 4 square root 5. 5 square root 5 minus 4 square root. You can see if square root 5 is common for both the values. So take square root 5 outside because it is common. You are left with 5 take away 4. Got it? So 5 take away 4 is 1. So it would be 1 square root 5. Got it? You have to take the square radical expression common and then subtract the other numbers. Got it? Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, write your answer in simplest form. You have to add 4 square root 3 plus 5 square root 3. So you can see the radical term is common. Got it? Let's just take out common and you're left with 4 plus 5. So 4 plus 5 is 9 square root 3. Like it is same as we working on the variables. So like you have x variable, you can add the terms that have the x variable. So same is the case you can add the terms, the add or subtract the terms that have the common radicals. Got it? So it would be 9 square root 3. The correct option is 9 square root 3. Okay, subtract. Write your answer in simplest form. So which is the correct option? You have to take square root common. You're left with then 3 minus 5. So 3 minus 5 is, it would be negative 2 square root 2. The correct option is the second one. Okay, the next one is add. Write your answer in simplest form. So which is the correct option? Square root 3 is common and negative 8 plus 2 is negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. So it would be negative 6 square root 3. Got it? Okay, the next one is 5 square root 5 minus 4 square root 5. So which is the correct option? You can have square root 5 common and 5 minus 4 is 1. So it would be 1 square root 5, or you can write down just square root 5. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, add negative 8 square root 2 plus 6 square root 2. So which is the correct option? Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. So the correct option is negative 2 square root 2. Second option is the correct one. It would be the second option. Subtract negative 4 square root 5 minus 3 square root 5. So which is the correct option? Negative 3 and negative 4 is negative 7. So it would be negative 7 square root 5. The correct option is negative 7 square root 5 is the correct option. Negative 8 square root 3 plus square root 3. So which is the correct option? Yes, negative 8 plus 1 is negative 7. So it would be negative 7 square root 3 is the correct option. Okay, 8 square root 3 minus 6 square root 3. So which is the correct option? Means it would be 2 square root 3 is the correct option. Okay, negative 5 square root 3 minus 9 square root 3. So which is the correct option? Yes, very good. Negative 9, negative 5 makes negative 14. So it would be negative 14 square root 3 is the correct option. Got it? Okay, negative 6 square root 3 plus 1 square root 3. So which is the correct option? Negative 6 plus 1 is negative. It would be negative 5 square root 3. Okay, negative 10 square root 3 plus 8 square root 2, which is the correct option? Yes, it would be negative 2 square. Okay, 7 square root 2 plus 6 square root 2. So which is the correct option? 7 plus 6 makes 13. So it would be 13 to the second option is square root 2 is common. You just have to add 7 plus 6. So it makes 13. So that would be 13 square root 2. Next one is 6 square root 5 plus 2 square root 5. So which is the correct option? You can have square root 5 common. You are left with then 6 plus 2. So 6 plus 2 makes 8. So that would be 8 square root 5. The correct option is the second one. Okay, subtract negative 2 square root 5 and negative 9 square root 5. So which is the correct option? Negative 2 and negative 9 makes negative 11. So it would be negative 11 square root 5. Got it? Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, the next one is negative 4 square root 5 plus 3 square root 5. So which is the correct option? Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So it would be negative 1 square root 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. You can write 1 or you don't write, they are exactly same. Okay, negative 10 square root 3 plus 2 square root 3. So which is the correct option? You can take negative square root 3 common. So negative 10 plus 2 makes negative 8. So it would be negative 8 square root 3 is the correct option. Ten square root 5 minus 4 square root 5. So which is the correct option? 10 minus 4 is 6. So it would be 6 square root 5. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, negative 1 square root 5 minus 4 square root 5. So which is the correct option? Negative 1 and negative 4 makes negative 5. So it would be negative 5 square root 5. Okay, we are done with the lesson. Let's just move on to next lesson. And the next lesson is multiply radical expressions. So let's just start with the lesson. Basically, you have to look at the property of square roots, multiplication property of square roots. That would be if you have two numbers like this. Square root a times square root b, you can write them as a times b. You can multiply them in one square root. Got it? That is actually the property of multiplication property of square roots. It would be square root 3 times, that first example is square root 3 times square root 2. So you can just write them down in under one square root, and it would be square root 3 times 2 is 6. Got it? That is the basic property you have to follow, and it is very easy. Let's just start with the test questions. Or either you can simplify them. Got it? Okay, the next one is simplify. Write your answer in simplest form. So which is the correct option? That is the simplest one. You can cancel out 2 and square root. So you are just left with 2. The correct option is 2. When you simplify, the answer would be 2. Got it? Okay, the next one is square root 3 times square root 15. So which is the correct option? It would be square root 3 times square root 15. You can just write them down in one square root. You can just factor out 15. It would be 3 times 5. Got it? So it would be 3 square times 5. Now you can write them down again again like this. So 2 and square root cancel out, so you are left with 3 square root 5. Got it? Got it? You have to factor out 15. It would be 3 times 5. You can then make a pair of 3 times 3. It will be 3 square. 2 and square root got cancelled out and you are left with 3 square root 15. 3 square root 5, not 15. Correct option is the second one. Okay, so which is the correct option? Square root 3 times square root 6. Okay, you can write it as 3 times 6. You can then factor out 6, so it would be 3 times 2. Got it? You can make pair, it would be 3 square times 2. You can then write them down in the separate square roots or radicals. It would be 3 square root 2. 2 and square root cancel out, so it would be 3 square root 2 is the correct option. Got it? What you have to do, first you have to write them down in the same radical. 3 times 6. You have to factor out 6. The factors of 6 are 3 times 2. You can make a pair of 3 times 3. It would be 3 square. So 2 and square root got cancelled out. So you are left with 3 square root 2. Got it? It would be the second option. Okay, the next one is square root 3 times square root 2. So which is the correct option? It would be square root 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. You just have to multiply and you cannot simplify. They are already in simplified form. Okay, the next one is square root 10 square. So which is the correct option? 2 and square root cancel out, so you are left with 10. Okay, simplify. So which is the correct option? So 2 and square root got cancelled out, so you are left with just 5. Okay, which is the correct option? When you factor out 10, it would be 2 times 5. So you can make a pair of 5 times 5, so it would be then 5 square root 2 is the correct option. Got it? Okay, simplify. Write your answer in simplest form. So which is the correct option? 2 and square root cancel out, you are left with just 5. So the correct option is 5. Which is the correct option? 2 and square root cancel out, so you are left with just 15. Which is the correct option? You can write 6 as 3 times 2. That's the same we did earlier. Got it? So it would be, you can make the pair of 3 times 3. It would be 3 square and that equals 3. 2 and radical cancel out, so you are left with 3 square root 2. The correct option is 3 square root 2. Okay, we are done with the lesson. Let's just move on to the next lesson. And the next lesson is simplify radicals expressions using distributive property. So here it is the same like we just did. Now we are going to apply the distributive property. You have to multiply the square root 2 outside the bracket with everything that is inside. That is actually the distributive property. Okay, it would be, okay, you have to multiply square root 2 times 6 and square root 2 times 3. It would be 6 square root 2 and plus you can write square root 2 times square root 3 when you multiply square root 3, and so you can write 6 square root 2 plus square root 3 times 2 is square root 6. So this is the correct option, 6 square root 2 plus square root 6. That is the answer of this question. Got it? Let's just start with the practice questions. Basically, you have to apply the distributive property here. The number that is outside the bracket, you have to multiply it with the everything that is inside the bracket. Got it? So when you multiply square root 3 with negative 9, it would be you have to multiply that square root 3 with negative 9 and the square root 3 with 2. So it would be negative 9 square root 3 and square root 3 square root 2. You have to write them down in the same radical. So it would be negative 9 square root 3 plus square root 6. That would be the second option is the correct one. Got it? Okay, multiply, write your answer in the simplest form. So which is the correct option? You have to multiply that negative square root 2 with negative 2. So negative negative makes positive. So it would be 2 square root 2. And again, negative and negative makes you can have 2 square root. When you multiply negative square root 2 and negative square root 2, it makes negative square root 2 square. So 2 and square root cancel out, and also square of negative is positive. So it would be 2. The correct option is option number 1 is the correct option. Got it? Okay, the next one is square root 3 times negative 5 minus square root 2. So which is the correct option? It would be negative 5 square root 3 and minus square root 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So it would be option number 1. Okay, negative 5 times negative 9 and minus negative 2. So which is the correct option? Negative 9 times negative square root 5 is negative negative positive. So it would be negative 9 square root 5. And again, negative negative positive, and 2 times 5 is 10. So it would be 9 square root 5 plus 10. Got it? Second one is the correct option. So which is the correct option? It would be 6 square root 2 plus 6. The correct option is option number 1. Oh, option number 2, 6 square root 2 plus, yes, square root 6. The second option is the correct one. Which is the correct option? It would be 4 square root 2 minus square root 10. The second one is the correct option. So which is the correct option? It would be 7 square root 3 minus square root 15. The second one is the correct option. Negative square root 2 minus 6 is 6 square root 2 and minus square root 6. The second option is the correct option. Okay, which is the correct option? It would be 8 square root 2 and square root 2 times square root 2 is 2 minus 2. Second option is the correct one. It would be negative 2 plus 8 square root 2. Okay, square root 2 times negative 4 plus square root 3. So which is the correct option? It would be negative 4 square root 2 plus 3 times 2 is 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, multiply. Square root 3 times negative 8 minus square root 2. So which is the correct option? It would be negative 8 square root 3 and minus 6. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, square root 5 times negative 6 plus square root 3. So which is the correct option? It would be negative 6 square root 5 and plus 5 times 3 makes 15. So it would be negative 6 square root 5 plus 15. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, we are done with the lesson. So we were working on grade 9 maths. Chapter we were working on is radical expressions. And the lessons we have covered today are simplify radical expressions involving fractions, add and subtract radical expressions, multiply radical expressions, simplify radical expressions using the distributive property. Please make sure before the next session you have to complete all the test questions for the lessons we did today. So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9. If you have any question, you can ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. No questions? Okay, that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.